916-909-1320. Phone lines are available for you. Of course, you can take part in the conversation in the Matthews Mattress Chatty House over on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter as well. Late Friday afternoon, a report came from Adrian Wojnarowski that Mike Brown and the Sacramento Kings have tabled talks on a contract extension. That's interesting for a variety of reasons. Namely, no one knew they were talking. So the fact that the conversations were tabled, the fact that the conversations of a contract extension were happening very quietly and behind the scenes, and the fact that the contract talks were tabled very publicly, I think is extremely problematic. Now, before we get too far into this, we'll throw the spoiler out there for everybody. I absolutely believe a contract extension is getting done between these two entities. I believe Mike Brown will be the head coach for the Sacramento Kings for the foreseeable future. I just don't understand why we're going this route. And what I really can't figure out, maybe you can help me with this, I don't know where the report came from. Normally, in situations like this, you can figure out, like, who benefits the most from this. This doesn't make anyone look good.
Oh, I disagree. Well, I don't think it makes anybody look good, but I disagree. To me, to me, I don't know anything, but this has Mike Brown's agent written all over it.
So, and that was my first thought as well. But why?
Because regardless of what progress we still think the Kings franchise has made in public perception or whatever, you can still make them look dumb in the public. And if you put if Mike wants 10 and the Kings are saying you can't get Coach Bud money, he's got a championship, but we'll give you 8.5. Like, oh, okay, well, we want 10. We know the reputation of your franchise and the situation that you're in. Matter of fact, we'll show you. We'll show you. Let me make a call to Mark Stein, and we'll show you. This is Woj. This is the Kings looking like idiots and just pay him is 100% approval rating in the court of public opinion right now. And that's and I don't like it. I don't like that that's the move potentially that an agent would do, but that's also what an agent should do.
You got to look out for your client.
Yeah,
but
that's the move.
My only pushback to that is that's a button you push, but is that a button you push on May 25th?
Well, see, and that's the other thing.
We're not close to this thing potentially going south, or boy, they just can't come. Of course, we don't know, but to the best of our knowledge, this is the first go round of contract conversations with these two. You don't have to push that button immediately.
I agree. I agree. I don't think talks should have broken down or anything else like that. Like you said, it's May 28th, and that when it came out, it was May 24th or something like that.
4th, 5th, yeah.
Like we don't have to go there. We can, unless they've had discussions way before this. We don't know if this is the first time they talk.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe they've had discussions for a month, and they got to earlier this past week. Like, all right, man, we've been talking for a month. You know what we want. I see what you guys are offering. What are we gonna do? And they're like, we ain't whatever side. It's like, we're not budging. All right, well, we don't have nothing to talk about right now. Like, that could happen. And I think that is, I feel like that's pretty realistic to what's going on. I think there's a specific number that the Mike Brown camp wants. And if they get $1 below, they're not interested in talking.
So Bud was 5 years, $50 million plus. Man, I got to be honest though. If I'm Mike's representative, that's absolutely what I'm aiming for. And I'm pointing to, and I think we did this once where we looked at the win percentages of the two coaches, and the pushback will be, well, Mike has a championship. Sorry, that's not helping. Budenholzer has a championship, and like, all right, he has Giannis too.
Yeah.
Like I fell short with LeBron, but that's the number I'm fighting for, and that would be if the counter is 8.5. Yeah, I'd probably push back on that if I'm Mike Brown.
I understand that. I understand that. And I would also understand the other side where it's not all right. Yeah, he's got a championship. It's not all right. No, he's got a championship. That championship is worth $2 million.
Mm. Mm.
Like it's worth. You guys got the same resume basically, but one guy got to the promised land. It's got to mean, to a certain degree, it's got to mean something, right? Like if we're doing this, like a championship has to mean something. It has to. Else, what are we doing? Like if it doesn't elevate you in status or money, then that's not the real world, right?
Does a
Like,
trip to the NBA Finals do something for you?
it's not the same as the championship.
Okay, because Monty Williams got paid, I think, more than any of these guys.
That's what I was gonna say right there. Are we looking at the wrong contract right now?
No,
No, no.
but that's also like saying Rudy Gobert went for four first rounders. You know what
I understand that. I understand that, but it's still, how many teams held out for stuff like that? And I mean, KD, of course, it's KD.
Mm-hmm.
He got comparable to that in terms of a trade value. It's not and I think we acknowledged this last week. It was like, if there's one that you probably got to kind of throw out, it's Monty's contract. But if I'm Mike's agent, I'm not completely throwing it out because I'll look at it like, yeah, no, Detroit was desperate, but this is what they paid for him. You can be Detroit. Yeah. You could be Detroit. Your successor, potential successor, the guy who could be the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings, he's gone. He's in, I think, Canada. Where'd he go? Where did Jordy go?
Oh, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. He's in Brooklyn. He's the coach of Team Canada. Yeah, he left and went to Brooklyn. Right. So even a potential backup plan for you is gone.
And that's where I understand, and it's a brilliant move. When you talk about leverage, you talk about timing. If I'm Mike Brown's representative, I'm gonna tell the Kings, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You gonna let Mike Brown go? And then what you gonna do? It's gonna be a bad look, and good luck trying to get a coach, with the same type of resume in here as Mike Brown. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna and then, like I said, I'm just assuming, we're talking right now. I'm just assuming it's like the Kings want $7 or $8 million and they're asking for 10. Like, what you gonna do over a couple $1 million? Go to a different situation, go to a different coach. Man, if you don't quit playing around and pay this man what we're asking, and let's move on about our day. So I like that. That's definitely the move I'd do if I was the agent. And I'd probably go to a Woj or a Mark Stein to put the pressure on him. Because to be honest with you, I want to get this done as fast as possible. It's already June.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I understand we're looking at it like, that's what you want to do on May. Well, I want to get this done before Summer League, basically. So yeah, we're entering the fourth quarter of my timeline if I'm Mike Brown and his representatives.
I'm looking at a couple of things here, and I got J Kidd. This isn't, spot track or anything like that, but I got J Kidd at $8 million a year. I got Nick Nurse at $8 million a year. And this is where, and to be honest,
probably helps the Kings argument.
Well, I guess Bud's in the right spot. I guess Bud's contract is fair if because it says 50 plus. We don't know exactly what that means, but if we just work with what we have, that's at about 10 million per year. If you look at Detroit and Monty as desperation, and while you're Mike's agent, you tuck it in your back pocket, but you can't really do a lot with that. You have Steve Kerr at roughly 17 and some change, Pop at 16, Spo at 15. Those aren't just championship coaches. Those are multi-time championship coaches, right? And then after that is where you get the Monty Williams 13 million outlier. From Monty goes to Bud. That's 10. So if you throw Monty Williams out, you're going from multiple championships with Eric Spoelstra at 15 million to Mike Budenholzer with 1 championship at 10 million. Then you got Nick Nurse, who has a championship at 8 million, and then Jason Kidd, who might have the opportunity to play for one here coming up pretty soon, who I think they've already said, I don't know if they did a contract extension already. I can't remember if they did a contract extension or there were just reports that they want to do a contract extension.
Reports,
But that number, that 8, if that's the case, and I mean, given what's going on right now, it absolutely should be. As much as we get our J Kidd jokes off, he's clearly doing something right. That number is going to change. And I don't think that number is going to be 10 million either.
Yeah.
I think that number is going to be north of 10 million, and it might flirt with the Monty Williams number of 13.
I agree.
So again, it puts Mike Brown in the category of Mike Budenholzer, but of all of these names, he doesn't have a title, he doesn't have a championship, nor does he have an NBA Finals appearance. And you have to point to a win percentage if you're Mike's agent, Brown's agent.
I think just looking at everything that's going on, I think about 9 million is fair. I think it's understandable and fair for Mike's representatives to ask for 10 million. I think that's fair.
I don't feel like you're tabling talks publicly if that's the difference. I don't know, but I absolutely feel like Sacramento is trying to be in the range of like 6 to 7 million.
And that would not be that's not good enough. That's
Rick Carlisle is at 7.5. Rick Carlisle, championship coach.
This is a tough question just because we don't know their thinking and stuff like that. But just your guys' thoughts. Do you think Kings ownership or front office, whatever you want to call it, knows Mike Brown is the guy going forward, or do you think this is just about money right now?
That's a good question that I don't know. I don't know.
Because my thinking is, if you think he's the guy, yes, Mike Brown is our guy. He's changed the culture and all that. If it's a matter of, we're just throwing out numbers, we don't know for sure. But if it's a matter of a couple million, you just
so that's a bigger problem. If you don't think Mike Brown's the guy, this organization's screwed. Because you move on from Mike Brown, be it right now or next year, who's going to touch this job?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You absolutely, you can, if you're Vivek or you're any of his stooges in his office that go out trying to make him look bad to the media on a regular occasion. If you're one of those people, you can be disappointed. If you're Wes and Monty, you're disappointed you didn't make the playoffs. But shout out TC. Let's be real with what we're talking about here. You were 2 games worse in the regular season, and you lost a play-in game to a team that beat your ass 5 times. 6, once you count that one. To me, it's magnified. It looks significantly worse that sorry-ass team couldn't even win a game in the playoffs. It looks that much worse. But you're going to decide, oh, yeah, this isn't what we're looking for. This ain't going to work for us. Nah, he's not the guy. We're too disappointed that we just didn't come in here and make the playoffs and see this exceptional growth. Despite the fact the general manager didn't add anything to the roster, no, we're going to be disappointed. Now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be disappointed. Boy, this is going to sound some type of way, but I'll say it. We're in this situation right now with Malik because of Monty, not because of Mike. Y'all didn't sign a 3-year contract that would have alleviated all of this. Instead, you handcuffed yourself by signing a 2. If y'all want to be frustrated, you might be frustrated with the wrong people. This is a mistake on so many different levels by the Sacramento Kings organization.
I think it's a mistake too, but I just
I know out there you thinking. I can see when you thinking. Go ahead, say it. You don't agree with me. Go ahead, trash Mike Brown.
No, that's not the case. I just kind of remembered something when you talk about leverage. The Kings might have a little more leverage than we realize.
Tell me.
Because you talk about the guy that was the replacement, is gone,
Mhm.
that may not be who the Kings are talking about. There's a guy that, if you believe some stuff, even when Mike Brown was hired, no, this guy got to be on your staff. Doug is sitting right there. And whether it's fair to Doug, whether it's the right move or not, I'm not here to say any of that right now. But if I'm the Kings and I've got a long relationship with Doug through multiple coaches, all this other stuff. I could easily, now, like I said, I'm not reporting, and I'm doing a greenie here. I'm not reporting. I don't know how Doug feels about that or the possibility or anything like that. But if I'm the Kings and I'm at the negotiating table, they could move on from Mike Brown, and people may think it's the wrong thing to do, but nobody would have a bad word to say about Doug Christie being head coach. So you think you got me on this public play of, yeah, who you gonna get? I'll go get Doug.
And here's my response. You gonna play that card again? Okay. Do it, because you did it once. You did it to like scare Alvin or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. They wanted Alvin Gentry, I think, to fill in for Luke Walton.
Mhm.
Oh, if he doesn't want to do it, well, we've got Doug Christie waiting right here. All right, big dog, you gonna play that card again? Do it. That's what if I'm Mike Brown, that's what I said. Yeah, do it. Play that Doug Christie card again.
I feel like
Do you? Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
I was gonna say I feel like a functional and stable franchise too does not let Mike Brown out the door. Like they just, stability matters and building matters. Like you're in the middle of a building, like you're trying to build some culture and all that. You don't let that walk out the door.
This shouldn't even be a question.
Exactly.
This should not be a question.
Well, and this goes back to your original point. This was a norm. You guys get on me all the time because in trade scenarios, I'm like, here, Kyle Kuzma, what you want, 3 first-round picks? We didn't even start talking yet, but sure, give us,
make it 4.
we didn't even start the negotiations, right? Neither side usually gives outwardly what they're willing to do and where they're willing to go. That's part of the negotiations, right? We could have been in the negotiation phase. The Kings haven't told, I don't know. I don't want to misspeak. We don't know if the Kings have told 7.5 is our final offer. That's the max.
Which there's no reason to say something like that on May 20th.
Right.
3rd, 4th,
right.
5th, 6th, nothing like that.
We don't know if we talk about it shouldn't have gotten to this point. Well, if they just started talking, the Kings are like, all right, we're in the negotiation phase. Like, this is what we're thinking. This is what you think or whatever. And in the middle of the negotiation phase, maybe one side just like, no, we're out of here. I'm going to talk to Woj right now. Wait, what? Wait, why are you doing that? We were just talking. We were just negotiating. So, but it's already served its purpose though, right? Because now, regardless if that is what's really going on or not, people, the public, are looking at the Kings as, here go the Kings again, or you're not a stable franchise for even having this be a question. This wasn't really even a question.
So
we're trying to have a normal negotiation.
So can I present the other side of this?
Mm-hmm.
There are Mike Brown detractors out there. There are a lot of people that don't think Mike Brown is a good coach. Mm. There are a lot of Kings fans that don't think that Mike Brown is a good coach. If, and I do think it's again, these reports benefit no one in this situation. Like if you're Mike Brown's agent, getting the fan base to trash the organization, that doesn't help anyone in this regard.
It helps them.
How so?
Because they have, once again, they're showing like this will be a major mistake if you don't give us what we want. There's no risk to them. Like Mike Brown don't look bad. His representation don't look bad by most of the public. I'm sitting up here saying, so that should have never gotten out.
Let's try.
That's not right that got out.
Let's try this. Does Mike Brown in the end get what he wants from a different NBA team?
That's the other question I was going to ask too. That's the other question I was going to ask.
What's the end game in all of this? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? But from the other side of the Sacramento Kings, there are Mike Brown detractors, and Mike wants 10 million. Mike Brown wants it. Please. Yeah, you could get people riled up in the same way. I'm a huge Mike Brown supporter. I think you are too. It's probably going to be more difficult to find them here. I'm sure there's plenty out there listening or watching or whatever, but we can't pretend like it's been a love fest for Mike Brown this last 2 years, because it hasn't.
From my opinion, I think if Mike Brown, we're all talking about hypotheticals now and all that stuff, but like say it wasn't to work out or whatever, I think Mike Brown is a guy. He's let go by the Kings one day and he's hired the very next. Like I don't think
by who though?
Whoever's got a job open. I don't think he's a guy who's gonna have to wait long.
Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I agree with that.
I don't think I halfway agree with Jesse,
because he's coming out. He'll come out of this Kings job looking
like
fine.
Will the Clippers hire Mike Brown tomorrow?
No, and that's my point. I halfway agree with him. I don't think those teams will. I think the Hornets will, and like you'll get your money, but is that what you want? Do you want to go to Charlotte? Do you want to go to Washington?
You help build up Sacramento. Can build up those teams as well.
Sacramento was a lot closer when he took that job than either of those two.
He also didn't do it.
I'm just saying that'd be his thinking, I'm sure.
Yeah. And
like Monty, like I had to go at Monty there for a second, but it's not like he didn't play a part in retooling this roster. He was executive of the year.
100%.
Of course, when you get coach of the year, it's pretty much clockwork. You're going to get fired. And make no mistake about it, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If this goes south, it's not south yet. But if this truly goes south, Mike Brown's fired. He's not coaching next year. You don't come back from this. It's over.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
Right. And the other thing that I would say is, if I'm Mike Brown now, I'm a little different. I'm not saying Mike Brown is, but I'm not necessarily 100% money motivated. I want just enough money to be able to do whatever I want to do, where I want to do it. Right.
He wants to go to the Four Seasons without or whatever. Was it the Four Seasons?
Yeah. And Tahoe, right?
Without having to, beg them for a comp, like live after getting fined.
Right. So like, if I'm head coach of the Kings, and I love it here in Sacramento, I love everything that goes on with living in Sacramento, the fan base, everything. The situation is good for me, and I want $10 million a year to coach. I'll take the 8 to stay in Sacramento over the 10 to go to Charlotte.
I'm with you,
and
100%.
And I gotta before this stuff. And once again, I'm assuming it is Mike's representation. I don't know. I don't know. But before those reports get put out there, I've got to, if I'm the agent, I've got to ask Mike. I'm like, Mike, like, you want to do that? Are you willing to scorch the earth for this price that you want? Because if you're willing to do that, we'll do that. But if you're not willing to leave, if you don't get this, I think there's another way we could play it. So I don't know what that conversation was like, but
and it goes back to something I said to you. I don't think the difference is that, like, putting him at $8 million probably puts him in the vicinity. Like if we're talking, J Kidd prior to the contract extension, we're talking, and again, we'll say with the numbers, $8 million per year. You're a little bit above Rick Carlisle. You're in the vicinity of, you're with Nick Nurse. You're in the vicinity of the really, really good coaches. You're not where the multi-time championship winners are. And you didn't get the please come coach us, no one wants us, Monty Williams money. And you didn't get the Mike Budenholzer money from the billionaire who's throwing money at anything, trying to get it to work. Mike Budenholzer is probably the toughest one for Mike Brown's and his agent to deal with, because it's like that's who I'm comparable to. I don't think the number is 8 or 9 million. I feel like the number is worse, and I don't know that we know for sure what Mike makes this year. I feel like James said it was 6 in the vicinity of 6 million. Going to 7 or 7.5 probably isn't enough.
Yeah, I don't think it is enough. With just times have changed.
And they change with every contract
a
that
lot has
signs.
happened in the 3 years or 2 years that we had this initial conversation. I've been successful. Other coaches have gotten different contracts, so the market is different. I think we'll continue to talk about. I think this will get done. I think we're talking because we're
Yep.
having a conversation.
Yeah.
But
This will get done.
this hasn't. All the reports that came out over the weekend haven't changed in one bit how I feel this is going to play out. Mike Brown's going to get a new contract extension to be the head coach of the Sacramento Kings, in my opinion.